Twilight, Twilight, let's read Twilight. I need a good intro to this. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. Where were we? Chapter 3. Phenomenon. Lovely word. This is an audible production. When I opened my eyes in the morning, something was different. It was the light. It was still the grey-green light of a cloudy day in the forest, but it was clearer somehow. I realized there was no fog veiling my window. I jumped up to look outside, and then groaned in horror. A fine layer of snow covered the snow. This snow, if this is like a consistent, this is going to get very boring very quickly. Dusted the top of my truck and whitened the road, but that wasn't the worst part. All the rain from yesterday had frozen solid, coating the needles of the trees in fantastic, gorgeous patterns. The inconsistency of this is a really bad thing, but I'm going to describe it really daintily, is wholly oxymoronic, and I'd like to just remove the oxy from that. We'll use some vanish oxy action. It's just moronic. We've said our piece there. Coat the needles, blah blah blah, and making the driveway a deadly ice slick. I think I know what's going to happen here. I had enough trouble not falling down when the ground was dry. You're in the house. Why are you? It might be safer for me to go back to bed now. Why are you outside? Charlie had left for work before I got downstairs. In a lot of ways, living with Charlie was like having my own place. I found myself, can I say, in the copy that I bought, this is the last page they dog-eared. So the person got to chapter 3 and went, I'm fine. We have a little thing in the front, like, this book is for you, Tabitha. No, it's not Tabitha. We're going to say it's Tabitha's book. I threw down a quick bowl of cereal and some orange juice from the carton. Put a hand in, got that orange juice, threw it across. I felt excited to go to school, and that scared me. I knew it wasn't the stimulating learning environment I was anticipating or seeing any new friends. I was being honest with myself. I knew I was eager to get to school because I would see... Check, do a double check? Anyone? It's Edward Cullen. And that was very, very stupid. Somehow, I doubt Tabitha was that type of lady. I would be avoiding him entirely after my brainless and embarrassing babbling. Someone recognized self-reflection is worth an ounce. It's worth an ounce of gold. Bit of self-reflection there. And I was suspicious of him. Why would he lie about his eyes? He's not wearing contacts. Why are we... That's the lie-in. Like, wow, he lied to me. Why? He said he didn't make... He's not. If the end of this, the plot twist is he actually was wearing contacts all along, I'd be devastated. I was still frightened of the hostility I sometimes felt emanating from him. Love that word. And I was still tongue-tied whenever I pictured his perfect face because he was hot and sexy. I was well aware that my league and his league, and my father's little minor league, were spheres that did not match. Ooh, I would be anxious all day to see him. It took every ounce of my concentration to make it down the icy brick driveway alive. I almost lost my balance when I finally got to the truck, but I managed to cling to the side mirror and save myself. Clearly, today was going to be nightmarish every single day. She has started a bit of positive mental attitude, you know? A bit of like, I think today's going to be okay. I think that's what Bella needs here. We don't need to. Why is she such a Debbie Downer? Such a Debbie Downer. I would call her if this was Twilight, if this was like the Welsh version, we would be calling her Borpa. She's a bit of a Borpa. BOPA. You're welcome, Borpa. I was sure I looked exactly the same as I had in Phoenix. Maybe it was just that the boys back home had watched me pass slowly through all the awkward phases of adolescence and still thought of me that way. Perhaps it was because I was a novelty here, where novelties were few and far between. Possibly. Aren't novelties always few and far between? Is that what makes them a novelty? I'm thinking, why am I even engaging in this? Possibly my crippling clumsiness was seen as endearing rather than pathetic, casting me as a damsel in distress. Whatever the reason, Mike's puppy dog behavior and Eric's apparent rivalry with him were disconcerting. I wasn't sure if I did. I wasn't sure if I didn't prefer being ignored. My truck seemed to have no problem with the black ice that covered the roads. I drove very slowly, though, not wanting to carve a path of destruction through Main Street. When I got out of my truck at school, I saw why I had so little trouble. Something silver caught my eye, and I walked to the back of the truck. Carefully holding the side of the support, I examined my tires. There were thin chains crisscrossed in diamond shapes around them. Charlie had gotten up who knows how early to put the snow chains on my truck. My throat suddenly felt tight. I wasn't used to be taken care of, and Charlie's unspoken concern caught me by surprise. Oh yeah, because most dads are like, oh, it's a bit icy. Hope my daughter makes it out alive. Like, there you go. That's why he's done it. Calm down. I was standing by the back corner of the truck, struggling to fight back the sudden wave of emotion the snow chains. Oh no! Now she's getting emotional. She's getting really sad about the snow chains. We're saying snow this chapter. This is good character progression that brought on until I heard an odd sound. I heard a high-pitched shriek, and it was fast, becoming painfully loud, and I looked up startled. I saw several things simultaneously. Nothing was moving in slow motion, the way it does in movies. Instead, the adrenaline rush seemed to make my brain work much faster, and I was able to absorb in clear detail several things at once. You could just whoop, get rid of the paragraph, really, couldn't you? Edward Cullen was standing 4 cars down from me, staring at me in horror. His face stood out from a sea of faces, all frozen in the same mask of shock. But of more immediate importance was a dark blue van that was skidding, tires locked and squealing against the brakes, spinning wildly across the ice of the parking lot. It was going to hit the back corner of my truck, and I was standing between them. I didn't even have time to close my eyes. Just before I heard the shattering crunch of the van folding around the truck bed, something hit me hard, but not from my direction. My head cracked against the icy black top, and I felt, how big is this parking lot? I felt something solid and cold pinning me to the ground. I was lying on the pavement behind the tan car I'd parked next to, but I didn't have a chance to notice anything because the van was still coming. It had curled gratingly around the edge of the truck and still spinning sliding, was about to collide with me again. What? I think we've already commented that one, but no, Tabitha wouldn't do that. Now I'm just getting some studded tires. I don't really understand how snow chains work, or studded tires, to be honest. I don't live in a cold country. Bella would hate it where I live. It just rains all the time, like incessantly. A low oath made me aware that someone was with me. Interesting sentence there. The voice was impossible not to recognize. 2 long white hands shot out protectively in front of me, and the van shuddered to a stop, a foot from my face. The large hands fittingly, providentially into the deep dent of the side of the van's body. Then his hands moved so fast they blurred. One was suddenly gripping the body of the van, and something was dragging me, swinging my legs around like a rag doll till they hit the tire of the tan car. A groaning metallic thud hurt my ears, and the van settled, glass popping in onto the asphalt, exactly where a second ago my legs had been. It was absolutely silent for one long second before the screaming began. In the abrupt bedlam, I could hear more than one person shouting my name, but more clearly than all the yelling, I could hear Edward Cullen's low, frantic voice in my ear. Bella, are you all right? Why is everyone like why is everyone like speaking really low and quietly? I don't understand this like everyone's whisper. It's rude to whisper, and everyone's like to each other. I'm fine. My voice sounded strange. She said she was a bad liar in chapter 1, so we'll give her this. I tried to sit up and realized he was holding me against the side of his body in an iron grasp. Be careful, he warned as I struggled. I think you hit your head pretty hard. I became aware of the throbbing ache centered about my left ear. Ow, I said, surprised. All of that happened. Ow. Wow. That's what I thought. His voice. Oh my god. Cullen, you're killing me, buddy. Cullen, you're killing me. That's what I thought. How in the... I trailed off, trying to clear my head, get my bearings. How did you get over here so fast? Standing right next to you, Bella. His tone was serious again. I turned to sit up, and this time he let me, releasing his hold around my waist and sliding as far away from me as he could in the limited space. I looked at his concerned, innocent expression. I was disorientated again by the force of his gold colored eyes. What was I asking him? Please don't be about the bloody contact once again. Don't move, someone instructed. Get Tyler out of the van, someone else shouted. And there was a flurry of activity around us. Is that snow? Is that people? We don't know, Stephanie Mayer. I tried to get up, but Edward's cold hand pushed down my shoulder. I just stay put for now. Whoa. But it's cold, I complained. It surprised me when he chuckled under his breath. There was an edge to the sound. What does that mean? You were over there, I suddenly remembered. You were by your car. No, I wasn't. I saw you. Bella, I was standing with you. I pulled you out of the way. He unleashed the full devastating power of his eyes on me. No, I set my jaw. His eyes, the gold in his eyes blazed. Please, Bella. Why? I demanded. Trust me. This is such a bizarre interaction. Trust me, he pleaded, his soft voice overwhelming. I could hear the silence now. Will you promise to explain everything for me later? Fine, he snapped. Fine, I repeated angrily. It took 6 EMTs and 2 teachers, Mr. Barner, Coach Clapp, that's such a bad name, to shift the van far enough away from us to bring the stretchers in. Edward vehemently refused his, and I tried to do the same, but the traitor told them I'd hit my head and probably had a concussion. I almost died in humiliation when they put on the neck brace. It looked like the entire school there watching soberly as they loaded me into the back of the ambulance. Edward got to ride in the front. It was maddening. Why is he coming? Why is he coming? He's not next to kin. He's not. He's got nothing to do with this. Why is he there? Bella, he yelled in panic as he recognized me on the street. Oh, sorry. To make matters worse, Chief Swan arrived before they could get me away to save it. Bella, he yelled in panic when he recognized me on the stretcher. I'm completely fine, Dad, I sighed. There's nothing wrong with me. Neck brace. Just remember that. He turned to the closest EMTs for a second opinion. I turned him out to consider the jumble of inexplicable images churning chaotically in my head. When they lifted me away from the car, I had seen the deep dent in the tan car's bumper, a very distinct dent that fit the contours of Edward's shoulder, as if he had braced himself against the car with enough force to damage the metal frame. And then there was his family, looking on from the distance, with expressions that ranged from disapproval to fury, but held no hint of concern for their brother's safety. I tried to think of a logical solution that could explain what I had just seen, a solution that excluded the assumption that I was insane. Naturally, the ambulance got a police escort to the county hospital. I felt ridiculous the whole time they were unloading me. What made it worse is that Edward simply glided through the hospital doors under his own power. What does that mean? I ground my teeth together. But there's loads of facial expressions in this. They put me in the emergency room. Is her jaw still set? A long room with a line of bed separated by pastel-coloured curtains. A nurse put the pressure cuff on my arm and a thermometer under my tongue. Since no one bothered pulling the curtain round to give me some privacy, I decided I wasn't obliged to wear the stupid-looking neck brace anymore. When the nurse walked away, I suddenly unfastened the Velcro and threw it under the bed. There was another flurry of hospital personnel. There's a lot of flurries here. I doubt there's going to be a muck flurry popping up. I recognised Tyler Crowley from my government class beneath my blood-stained bandages wrapped tightly around his head. Tyler looked 100 times worse than I felt, but he was staring anxiously at me. Bella, so sorry. Fine, Tyler. You look awful. Are you all right? Tact. As we spoke, nurses began unwielding his soiled bandages, exposing a myriad of shallow slices all over his forehead and left cheek. He ignored me. I thought I was going to kill you. I was going too fast. I hit the ice wrong. He winced at one of the nurses, starting dabbing at his face. Don't worry about it. You missed me. How did you get out of the way so fast? You were there and then you were gone. Edward pulled me out of the way. Who? It's the sexy boy. Edward Cullen. He was standing next to me. I'd always been a terrible liar. It didn't sound convincing at all. Cullen? I didn't see him. Wow, he was all so fast, I guess. Is he okay? I think so. He's here somewhere. They didn't make him use a stretcher. I knew I wasn't crazy. What had happened? There was no way to explain what I had seen. They wheeled me away then to x-ray my head. I told him there was nothing wrong. I was all right, not even a concussion. I asked if I could leave, but the nurse said I had to talk to a doctor first. So I was trapped in ER, waiting, harassed by Tyler's constant apologies and promises to make it up to me. No matter how many times I tried to convince him that I was fine, he continued to torment himself. Finally, I closed my eyes and ignored him. So rude. He kept up a remorseful mumbling. Is she sleeping? A musical voice. Is she sleeping? She gracefully flutters through. My eyes flew open. Edward was standing at the foot of my bed, smirking. I glared at him. It wasn't easy. It would be more natural to ogle. What is he like? Just well, ogle. What a good word. Ogle. Such a wonderful. It's got a good. I like that. It starts at the back and works his way for ogle. Love that. Love it. Hey, Edward, I'm really sorry. Edward lifted up a hand to stop him. No blood, no foul, he said, flashing his brilliant teeth. No blood, no foul. So what's the verdict, he asked me. There's nothing wrong with me at all, but they won't let me go, I complained. How come you aren't strapped to a gurney like the rest of us? It's all about who you know, he answered. But don't worry, I came to spring you. What does that mean? It's all about who you know. I came to spring you. Then a doctor walked around the corner and my mouth fell open. He was young, he was blonde, he was handsomer than any other movie star I'd ever seen. He was pale, though, and tired looking, with circles under his eyes. From Charlie's description, this had to be Edward's father. Oh, he's sexy as well, isn't he? Miss Swan, Dr. Cullen said in a remarkably appealing voice, how are you feeling? I'm fine for the last time. He walked to the light board on the wall over my head and turned it on. Your x-rays look good. Does your head hurt? Edward said you hit it pretty hard. It's fine, I repeated with a sigh, throwing a quick scowl over to Edward. The doctor's cool fingers probed lightly across my skull. He noticed when I winced. Tender? Not really, I heard a chuckle. He looked over to Edward's patronizing smile. My eyes narrowed. Well, your father's in the waiting room. You can go home with him now, but come back if you feel dizzy or have trouble with your eyesight at all. Can't I go back to school? I asked, imagining Charlie trying to be attentive. Maybe you should take it easy today. I glanced at Edward. Does he get to go to school? Someone has to spread the good news that we survived, Edward said smugly. Actually, Dr. Cullen corrected, most of the schools seems to be in the waiting room. Oh no, I moaned, covering my hands and face. Do you want to stay? No. Conversation killers, honestly. Do you want to stay? No, I insisted, throwing my legs over the side of the bed and hopping down quickly. Too quickly, I staggered. Dr. Cullen caught me. He looked concerned. I'm fine, I reassured him. No need to tell him my balance problems had nothing wrong with me hitting my head. Take some Tylenol for the pain, he suggested, as he steadied me. It doesn't hurt that bad, I insisted. It sounds like you were extremely lucky, Dr. Cullen said, smiling as he signed my chart with a flourish. Cursive, it's dangerous. Lucky Edward happened to be standing right next to me, I amended with a hard glance at the subject of my statement. The eyes. I'm afraid that you'll have to stay with us just a little bit longer, he said to Tyler, and then began checking his cuts. As soon as the doctor's back were turned, I moved to Edward's side. Can I talk to you for a minute? I hissed under my breath. Can I talk to you for a minute? I can't. What do you want? He asked, sounding annoyed. His eyes were cold. His unfriendliness intimidated me. My words came out with less severity than I had intended. Well, you owe me an explanation, I reminded him. I saved your life. I don't owe you anything. I flinched back from the resentment in his voice. But you promised. Didn't think he promised, though. Did he, Bella? See? Because although an oral contract is legally binding, I think Edward has done the don't care. You know? Just don't care. It didn't happen. Her say. That's what he would say in court. Bella, you hit your head. You don't know what you're talking about. His tone was cut in. Dramatic irony, because we as the reader know this. Whoa. Bit Shakespearean information from there for you. My temper flared now, and I glared defiantly at him. There's nothing wrong with my head. He glared back. Well, what do you want from me, Bella? Oh, I want to know the truth. I want to know why I'm lying for you. What do you think happened? Ooh, this has gone to Browntown. It all came out in a rush. It does sound like Browntown. This is a PG-13. This is a kids-friendly stuff. Head out to the gutter. All I know is that you weren't anywhere near me. Tyler didn't see you either. So don't tell me I hit my head too hard. That van was going to crush us both, and I wish it did. You might as well just say that. And it didn't. And your hand left dents in the side of it. And you left a dent in the other car, and you're not hurt at all. And the van should have smashed my legs. What an argument to make. But you were holding her up. I could hear how crazy it sounded. I couldn't continue. I was so mad I could feel the tears coming. I tried to force them back by grinding my teeth together. He was staring at me, as he always has, incredulously, but his face was tense defensive. You think I lifted a van off you? His tone questioned my sanity, but only to make me more suspicious. It was like a perfectly delivered line by a skilled actor. I merely nodded once, jaw tight. That also happens. Nobody will believe that, you know. His voice held an edge of derision now. I'm not going to tell anyone. I said each word slowly, carefully controlling my anger. Surprise flitted across his face. Then why does it matter? Matters to me, I insisted. I don't like to lie because she's bad at it. So, there better be a good reason why I'm doing it. Can I just thank me and get over it? Thank you. I waited, fuming and expectant. You're not going to let it go, are you? No. In that case, I hope you enjoy your disappointment. Or they just like, like little kittens fighting. We scowled at each other in silence. I was the first to speak, trying to keep myself focused. I was in danger of being distracted in his livid, glorious face. It was like trying to stare down a destroying angel. What does that mean? That's so weird. It was like trying to stare down a destroying angel. Interesting simile. Why did you even bother? I asked frigidly. Oh, I wish I died. Again, she's listening to the Smiths. He paused, and for a brief moment, his stunning face was unexpectedly vulnerable. I don't know, he whispered. And then he turned his back on me and walked away. I was so angry. It took me only a few minutes till I could move. That's connected. She was so angry. She was like, I can't walk. When I could walk, I made my way slowly to the exit at the end of the hallway. The waiting room was more unpleasant than I'd feared. It seemed like every face I knew in Forks was there, staring at me. Everyone's staring. Charlie rushed to my side. I put up my hands. There's nothing wrong with me, I assured him. It's like, these are not the droids you're looking for. That's what she did. There's nothing wrong with me. What did the doctor say? Dr. Cullen saw me, and he said I was fine. I could go home, I sighed. Mike and Jessica and Eric were all there, beginning to converge on us. Let's go, I urged. Charlie put one arm behind my back, not quite touching me, led me to the glass door of the exit. I waved sheepishly at my friends, hoping to convey that they didn't need to worry anymore. Oh, it was such a huge relief. The first time I'd ever felt that way, to get into the cruiser. We drove in silence. I was so wrapped up in my thoughts that I barely knew Charlie was there. I was positive that Edward's defensive behavior in the hall was a confirmation of the bizarre things I could hardly believe I had witnessed. When we got to the house, Charlie finally spoke. You need to call Renee. He hung his head guiltily. I was appalled. You told Mum? Sorry. I slammed the cruiser door a little harder than necessary on the way out. My mum was in hysterics, of course. I had to tell her that I felt fine at least 30 times before she would calm down. She begged me to come, forgetting the fact that home was empty at the moment, but her pleas were easier to resist than I would have thought. I was consumed by the mystery Edward presented, and more than a little obsessed by Edward himself. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Interesting repetition just there. I wasn't as eager to escape Forks as I should be, as any normal, sane person would be. I decided I might go to bed early that night. Please do. Charlie continued to watch me anxiously, and it was getting on my nerves. I stopped on the way to grab 3 Tylenol from the bathroom. They did help, and as the pain eased, I drifted to sleep. This was the first night I dreamt of Edward Cullen. End of chapter 3. Let's summarize. They stayed. There was an accident. Bit shifty. That's it. That's all that's happened so far. There was an accident. Bit shifty. Team Wolf. Next chapter, let's hope that we go for the dream of Edward Cullen. I think that sounds grand. Big up, Twilight fam. It's been great. It's been emotional.